Hi, I'm Tracey Hanbury and welcome to the National Landlord Investment Show. We are here today live on location at Old Billingsgate. It is Wednesday the 30th of October and it is budget day. So, a familiar face for you guys. I'm joined with Ian Collins, who is our host of our big panel debate here at the London shows, and we're always delighted to have you, Ian.
Thank you.
So it's been a bit of a lively one today, hasn't it?
It has been lively,
So we've
and
just straight
I mean, you couldn't
out
have made
from
the timing up,
audience.
because, of course, this show was arranged before the Labour Party were even elected into government, and it just so happens, I think they picked this day knowing that the Landlord Investment Show was on.
Oh, it was
to do the budget.
absolutely.
That was, I think, what was going. Yeah, Rachel Reeves knew what she was doing there, so it was always going to be interesting. Obviously, as we did that debate an hour or so before the budget, but many of the announcements were already kind of known because they seem to have leaked like a sieve the amount of things that are going to happen in this budget. And of course, this industry, this crucial industry, this multi-billion-pound industry, which is an absolute backbone of so much of our infrastructure, housing, and goodness knows what else in this country, there's a general sense that it's been given a bit of a kicking over the last year, and there's a bigger sense that that kicking is going to increase. Now, there's lots of speculation, and until the budget has been done, we don't know. But what we do know is that there's a lot of passionate voices out there, and I think we heard that today. We had an amazing panel with real experience across the board, from taxation to lending to the landlord issue, the environmental issue, which is going to be another all-encompassing part of the property rental sector. So the best voices in the land, frankly, as is always the case at the Landlord Investment Shows, to answer those questions. And the amount of questions we had were just extraordinary. People have genuine concerns.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, obviously I was in there sort of listening out to what the general consensus was. And what I sort of found quite interesting, even on a day like today with budgets happening very, very soon, is that there's still a lot of positivity in this marketplace. There seems to be a lot of talk about, possibly now is a good time to invest.
Yeah.
So obviously, clearly, we know that there are landlords that will come to the natural kind of cycle that want to exit, but there are people that are very worried as well about what's going to happen. But a couple of comments today, certainly on the financial side, was, it seems to might be a good opportunity to actually get in there if you are looking to buy and start your portfolio. Now might be a good time to do that.
Do you know what? If this was a battle between government and landlords, and it isn't really that, but it sometimes feels like that, the landlord and the property investment industry is going to win. And I think we heard it today that despite a lot of legislation out there, different rules and regulations, either from central government, local government, concern about council tax, is council tax going to double if you own a second property, that kind of, despite all of that, what we do know is that interest rates are likely to come down. And when all is said and done, that is the real driving force of this industry. And I think, despite everything, despite some tricky times, and it's never an easy ride being a landlord. And yes, it is a working job. You are a working person if you run a property portfolio, whether you own one property or whether you own many. I think what's come through today is that actually there is a real light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah.
And investment will continue, interest rates will come down, and I think the industry is going to grow in 2025. Yes, of course, some people drop out. That goes with any industry.
Yeah.
For many people, they've made that choice, which is fine. But I think overall, listening to people who are experts in this area, lenders in particular, they're always a good barometer for what's going on.
Yeah.
There is massive positivity. So I think that the landlord investment industry, that whole area, is actually going to have a great 2025. I think it's on the up.
That's a lovely prediction, and we have to talk about Keir Starmer's comments.
Yeah.
Landlords Was it last week? Was it early this week?
Yes.
I've been very busy, so I don't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
But that was quite interesting. What was your views on his comments
on the working person
on the
issue?
working person?
Well, I mean, it was just an extraordinary. I think what had happened, I think the sort of Labour government in their kind of DNA had decided that you're only a working person if you work down a mine. I think they'd sort of gone back to and hadn't really thought it through when they said it. You know, no taxation on working people. And then, of course, they were forced to answer the question, well, what is a working person? You know, the guy that runs my corner shop is a working person, works his socks off from 6 a.m. till about 11 p.m., doesn't stop, and also doesn't earn a great wage out of it. He could probably earn more, as he said to me recently, if he worked in the shop rather than owning the shop and running it. So a working person, and if you look at people who invest in property and landlords who have, you know, half a dozen properties, that requires work.
Of course it does.
It requires work. There's rules, there's regulation, there's bureaucracy, there's paper filling, there's attending to property, there's servicing, there's finding tenants, finding good tenants, dealing with issues, dealing with problems. Most landlords have no problem with all of that. But the idea that you're not going to work is a nonsense.
I know.
And of course, you know, yes, it is a nice way to earn a living for some people. But for the average person who has a property portfolio, it's graft, it's a job.
It is.
So I think they were scuppered a bit by coming out with this term, working people, and then deciding, well, what is a working person? Well, people who go to work, basically.
Yeah, and I think there were some really strong statistics actually in terms of, you know, how many landlords, you know, hold down that professional job, have a second job.
Yep.
You know, as you say, it is a real commitment, and you know, you are running a business.
Correct.
And actually, I think there's around 3,000 people in attendance here today. Who are landlords, working landlords. And coming out to events like today is all about education. It's all about keeping up to date with legislation, taxation. What do they need to do to be a professional landlord?
Correct.
So it's all in a day's work.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. It
Completely,
comes down to.
Completely. You know, it's been said many times, you know, and I mentioned it today on the panel, you know, years ago when you just rented out a house to a bloke in the pub because he was a friend of a friend. And he gave you a few £100 at the end of every month. You went, thanks very much, I'll buy you a pint. I'll see you the same time next month for the rent. You know, those days are gone. You know, it's an industry that is regulated. Most landlords welcome regulation because everybody knows where they stand. Nobody wants to be a rogue landlord. People want to do it properly. They value their tenants. They want a good relationship with their tenants, which is why it's a great industry to invest in. But it's a job. It's a job that requires you take your eye off the ball and you learn the hard way in this industry.
Yeah, there's mistakes to be made for sure. So tell me about your day now today. So we've had you this morning at the debate. And now you're going to be going back over to HQ to keep us abreast of budget day.
Absolutely, yeah. It's budget day. So when we go on air this afternoon on the radio and on TV, it'll be during Rachel Reeves' budget. As we're recording this now, she's left number 11 Downing Street with that big red box. You know, they have to pose with the big red box. At some point, someone's going to go, I don't want to do that pose. Can we not do the box thing? It's a bit weird. Nobody holds a box up like that. Can we quit the box? But so she'll be in Parliament now getting everything ready. And then, of course, the opposition, which is still going to be... We forget, you know, Rishi Sunak is still the leader of the Conservative Party. So he'll be responding, by the looks of things, to the budget. It'll be his last big appearance in Parliament. Will there be a rabbit out of the hat? I don't know if that rabbit is going to be a positive one for landlords, whether it will be something about property at all. But considering the headlines in the last couple of months, there's been no honeymoon period for this government.
No.
They've got to throw a sweetener in there, haven't they? They've got to throw. It's got to be a bit of good news.
What's any thoughts?
Well, do you know what I think? One of the big areas that a lot of people are predicting is that the motorist is going to be absolutely kicked. And motorists, I think, under a similar banner of landlords, where it's like an easy target. Oh, landlords are all rich. We can add a bit more tax to landlords. They don't care. They've all got loads of money. And of course, it's a big urban myth. And I think motorists similarly. A lot of speculation they're going to put fuel tax up for the first time in years. I think one of the rabbits out the hat is that it won't go up. Now, it's not the deal breaker for every household's finances, but I've got a sense that they're going to leave that one alone. But they've got to throw something in that's going to make us feel that, you know.
some sort of sweetener.
It's worth getting out of bed in the morning. We need a little bit of that, don't we?
Going to do a day's work.
To do a day's work, absolutely.
Oh, Ian, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracey.
So we will we'll keep updated, and I'm sure we'll have a message throughout the day once the results have actually broken. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you here at the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Love it.
And I know you're going to be obviously coming back next year to host our sort of big panel debates, which actually there was just not enough room there this morning. It was
absolutely rammed, wasn't it?
Rammed,
yes.
Which is a lovely problem to have.
Definitely.
And I wish your day a great success, and let's see what it brings.
Indeed. Cheers, Tracey.
Lovely